Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I hope you're doing all right and taking good care of yourselves and also taking the precautions seriously, the quarantine seriously, and keeping yourself safe and your loved ones even safer. I'm hoping so. Um, we had to close down, but that does not mean that the work closes down as well. Your faculty is available. I'm available. Please stay in contact with us if you have any problem, if there is anything that you want us to solve for you. Be assured that I'm around, the staff's around, your Miss Shabnam's around. You just get in contact with us and we'll be very happy to help you about it. Now to some unfulfilled promises. I promise you that I'll offer you a session on essay writing, and I am here to do that. The plan is to send you short videos alongside handouts to help you in uh, learning and working on your essay writing techniques. If there is any problem, just let me know. There's Zan in the background. I'm taking a pause for a minute. So I'm back. The Zan is over, and of course, you did not feel a thing. Okay, I sent you a handout. It should have 3 pages. The first page should look something like this. It has this essay plan and it has this bare structure on top of it to show you how to plan your essay and how the logical structure flows. And you can see that it has 3 portions: introduction, then this point one, two, three, four kind of a portion is the main body of your essay, and then of course the conclusion. Then you have this uh, flow chart that will also help you in uh, structuring and organizing your ideas better for writing your essay. The third page should have the questions that I've sent you about your essays. Those questions are the recommended questions. I would suggest you that you should try to write essays upon those questions. If not full-fledged essays, at least make your outlines, make your skeletons, send them over. I will review them and will send you back with my comments. Okay, so the first thing, each essay will have 3 portions. It will have the introductory part, then the main body of your essay, and then the conclusion. So this goes without saying. All essays have these 3 parts. Then you have two. The University of London generally asks the essays that they ask you to write. They oscillate between 2 styles. One is argumentative essays, and the second would be descriptive plus analytical essays. Now, argumentative essay, as the name suggests, and a very common sense thing, that those would be the essays requiring you to take a stance and then argue on behalf of that stance, to propose arguments which, in your opinion, will fortify your stance, and by the end, your stance will be a preferable stance against the contrary stance, right? So that's argumentative essays. Then mostly, more often than not, they ask for descriptive come analytical essays. Those are most otherwise generally asked essays in the University of London. If you go to the list of questions, um, there'll be like 6 questions in that handout. Let me open it for myself. Okay, you can see that it has questions. The first question is discuss how far the actions of the victim or third party can break the chain of causation In result, crimes critically assess how far the law in this area is fair and consistent. Okay, you can see that the first question is sort of argumentative question because you can critically evaluate and assess eventually that area law in this area is fair and consistent, or you can make an argument that it is not fair and consistent. It's not an excellent example of argumentative essays, but whatever I could get from University of London, the way kind of essays they are making, this is one example of argumentative essays that they have. Now, if you go to question number 5 that I've sent you, look at question number 5. It says that consider the arguments both for and against for expanding the range of duty situations which ground liability for omissions. This is not an argumentative portion of the essay has two portions, but this is not an argumentative portion. If you go to the next portion, should there be a general duty of easy rescue, that's the argumentative portion of your essay. The first part is descriptive only. It is asking you to propose arguments from both sides and evaluate the situation. It's not asking you to take a stance. So in that, it is mainly it is kind of an essay which is both. And if you could just go to question number 2, then again question number 3, and then again question number 4, and then again question number 6. All these questions are basically descriptive and analytical. They want you to describe the developments of law. They want you to describe the how certain just give me a second, sorry. They want you to describe how certain things have developed over the years, the law, and how you evaluate it, whether the developments have been in the right direction or not. Okay. Now let's go back to the structure of our essay. So how would you write your essay? The first thing is introduction. What are the techniques to do introduction? There are various ways in which you can write your introduction. You can write your introduction by starting with the citation from a judgment with some anecdote. You can also start your essay by writing some statement from some judge in some case, or you can also write it from citing it from some academic opinion. These are like all advanced ways of how to write introduction. Let's come to the basics. The most basic way of writing introduction is that you firstly you introduce the topic in your essay in slightly broader way, and then you reduce it down to the issue in your essay. If it is an argumentative essay, in the next line either you identify the issue or you take the stance. Then you write 2 to 3 sentences explaining what are you going to do, sort of a brief synopsis of your answer. So this is one very specifically structured and straightforward way of writing introduction, and my advice would be to do that unless you are absolutely sure of the other method that you want to use. You have this list of 6 possible essay questions. You can write your introductions. You can send me your introductions, and I'll be very happy to go through them and give you my comments. So once again, the introductory part, you should identify your topic in the larger context. This section, this question that you have, the question number 4 that you have. For question number 4, one opening sentence could be that it is for the first time that the criminal law of England and Wales have introduced the definition of consent in their sexual offences. law, in their in their sexual offenses laws. Yes. So you have identified your topic in the context of your in the context of your um, uh, larger subject. So you identify your topic, then you write maybe write a sentence about its importance. Then you identify your issue or your stance if you have any, and then you write 2 to 3 lines of synopsis of what you are going to do in your essay. This is one very specifically straightforward, streamlined introduction of your possible essay. I'll take a pause here. Just give me a second. Okay, I'm back. Let's move to the main body of your essay and how you're going to handle it. The good strategy is that you do your rough work. You lay out your argument or stance, or if even if you're doing like a descriptive essay, you how to say it, you outline the development. In descriptive essay, when you are outlining the development, uh, the advice is stay chronological. Do not jump back and forth, and try to stay chronological. One good style could be to state the current law right in the beginning. Like if you're doing an essay on intention, it's always advisable to tell what the law is. So you technically start with Woolen-Nedrick test, explaining this is what is the law on intention, and then you go back and trace the developments up till Woolen and Nedrick. And then of course you also produce a para or two which is post Woolen, and how Woolen has been now applied in different cases, and how whether it has been successful, the application itself has been successful or not. So you do that. Going back to the main body of your essay. Main body of your essay is your essay. That is your essay, okay? You got to pay a lot of attention to that portion, one thing. Secondly, for heaven's sakes, split it into paragraphs. Nobody wants to read 2 or 3 continuous pages of writing. There is no such thing. You need to cut it down into decent sized paragraphs, 8 line. I said not more than 10. No paragraph should go beyond 10 lines. Sometimes it could, try not to. So between 8 to 10 lines a paragraph. Okay, so how the structure works, let's take an example from your question number 2. So look at your question number 2. If you can, the question is, just a second. Okay, the question is outline and discuss critically the present law of non-fatal offenses against the person, giving suggestions for reform. You can see that the essay has 2 parts. Essay wants you to outline, and actually 3 parts. Essay wants you to outline, that's like pretty descriptive, and then an analytical, discuss critically, that's the analytical part, the present law of non-fatal offenses against the person, and then giving suggestions for reform. So it has those 3 portions. The first, so you have introduced your question in the first paragraph by the technique that I gave you just a few minutes ago. You have done your first paragraph. Then comes the main body of your answer. In that main body, you should outline the elements of common assault, Section 47, Section 20, Section 18 of OAPA. So there should be few paragraphs in the beginning where you be doing this job of outlining, this job of being descriptive and explaining what these offenses are. Then it requires you discuss critically the present law of non-fatal offenses against the persons. That is the portion where you will be writing, those will be the paragraphs where you will be writing the comparison of these different sections. What are their similarities? What are their distinctions? And how their distinctions are confusing or overlapping, how these sections are overlapping. Okay. The major points of critical analysis could be the overlapping. We have all seen that section 20 and section 18 has clear overlapping. Then there is linguistic imprecision because of the usage of term wound in section 18. However, so far, how judges have approached the term wound in a very uh, regular way. So section 18's wound is not different from section 20. So maybe you can use case law there to show that. Then again, another thing to consider is how latest case law reflects upon these difficulties about these various provisions of OAPA and their common law counterparts and how safe they are. So this would be the main body of your essay. One thing you need to consider in your mind is that when you're giving argument, you need support. You cannot be writing an argument and assuming that this is your original argument, you heard of it. If you are like writing it because you've read it from Wilson, you should write as argued by Professor Wilson, or whatever argument you write and you bracket, put a bracket and put Wilson. So a good essay has arguments and a good essay has then support for those arguments. You have to produce evidence, the evidence and the authority for whatever argument you're doing, you're making. And that evidence and authority comes from three things. It comes from the statute, it comes from the case law, and it comes from the academic opinions. That is why essay writing is comparingly tougher than proposition solving, because in essay writing you have to show the depth of your work. You have to show that how in detail you have studied that particular topic. If you are producing an argument in, or you are critically evaluating things, you have to every now and then put in a reference showing that this is what you are doing. So going back to the same question number 2, the essay we are discussing. Then you have the third portion of the essay to do, and that is to suggest a reform. Advice would be that you would write down the possible changes that as a criminal law student, or if you have any reference from any text that you might have read, if you have that reference available, then you should be writing it on from that context. So you need to produce that portion of your main body. With that, your major work of your essay will be taken care. Then what you will have would be conclusion. For conclusion, again, there can be a variety of ways of writing conclusion. You will go with the straightforward one. And the straightforward conclusion is that you reiterate in different words something similar to the what you have done in introduction. You sort of reiterate the stuff in introduction, just adding one or two lines showing that this is what you have done and this is now the position of law, or this is how law should change for better now. So something of that sort. um, Advice number one: do not leave your essay without writing conclusion. It is the wrong thing to do. Advice number two: conclusion does not need to be beyond 5 lines, six max, but 5 lines, and that's pretty much it. Because when you don't write conclusion at all, examiner goes into this thing that you might have missed something, or you might have not got enough time to finish your answer, so it's not safe, it's not good. Do not give that suggestion to your examiner. There's no need. So just put together a decent 3 to 4, 5 lines conclusion, reiterating what your stance had been in the first paragraph and how you have reached what you have reached, just like about 2 more lines, and you will be able to conclude your essay. I've sent you 6 questions. Please go through those questions. I'll be very willing and happy to help you out in structuring your essays. So if you put together a structure of any of these essays, send it over to me. I'll go through it. I'll send you my comments. In the meanwhile, I'll be sending you another video discussing the remaining 2 essays. One, consent wala, that I want to discuss, and question number 1, causation wala. They're both difficult essays, so I want to discuss with you the do's and don'ts of those essays. But usko bhi देखिएगा, जो omission wala है, the one that I've taken up from the study guide, go through that essay too, because that essay requires you to first be critical and put together, and it will give you good exercise in like how to write arguments and then counter arguments and then reply, and how to make sense of both sides of story. And then there is that a last part, that should there be a general duty of easy rescue or not. Now that is purely argumentative part. It will be your choice whether you would want to go argue for having general duty of easy rescue, or if you think that there should not be one and it would not serve anything, then again that will be your call. So do outline of that one as well. There will be a corresponding section. uh, Let me check it for you. Give me a second here again. Yes, it should have section 4.5.d of Wilson's text. So if you check that section will have the details of all arguments for and against having criminal liability for omitting to prevent harm. So if you will check that section, that's 4.5.d of Wilson. If you will check that section, you should be able to outline your answers for this question. Please do that. Go through these questions. I will also send you 2 more questions, one on complicity, the essay upon complicity, and one essay upon property offenses. So the 2 essays that I would discuss in the next video would be one about question number 1, then your question number 4, and then your question number 6, the one about property. So these would be the three essays that I'll discuss with you in the next video. In the meanwhile, you will work hard, you will take care of yourself, you will stay good. Do not be reckless. It is painful to be in quarantine. It's all right. And you'll be doing it for yourself and everybody else. So don't panic, stay calm, work hard, stay safe. I'll see you in the next video. If you'll have any questions, you know what to do. Thank you. Bye bye.